Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. We have a special guest on the show who's a Patreon member as well. Rick, tell everybody who you are, and you were running for office, and what happened.
I am Rick Shepard, and I was a Congressional District 2 of Nevada candidate. So my ambition was to replace Mark Amodei as representative in the House for Nevada's 2nd Congressional District. This is a district that's been red since it was invented 4 decades ago. And every once in a while, the Democrats will hoist someone up to try to run, and it never turns out very well. It's usually an establishment-friendly, corporatist kind, someone that gets passed through the Harry Reid filter and manages to check enough of the right boxes that they're not going to be a material challenge to the 1%. They don't much care whether it's a red or blue district, as long as it's under the proper controls, and so long as voting goes the way they want, it doesn't much matter. So Reid and his machine have put no effort into converting the District 2 because basically it's been effective under its current authorship. Why break what's fixed? But enough about the district.
I just real quick, did you run as a Democrat?
Yeah, I did. But here's the thing. I was a Republican most of my life, often voting against my own best interests, often voting for Democrats or independents or whatever, never partisan. I truly had no leadership when it came to my party affiliation. I grew up in a household full of Republicans, so I just did what they did. Over time, I began to understand exactly where and how they sucked. And ultimately, the final straw was just the Republican Party's an abject failure on the issue of climate change. And once the planet is hostile to human life, nothing else matters. We can quibble about every single other thing, but that really trumps it all. There is no other once you've got that. You couple that with, I see this hero of men coming forth as a potential presidential candidate in 2016, an independent senator from Vermont, Mr. Bernard Sanders, and I get inspired. So not only do I switch parties, I decide to run for office. And I'm out there in late 2015. I started doing all my stuff, and I had my website up in 16. And I was all about it. Bernie was the impetus behind my effort to get in and do stuff. Now, before I got out to do this, I'd been an activist for years. I went to Zuccotti Park to Occupy Wall Street. I exposed institutional racism in the Reno Police Department that resulted in the termination of Chief Pitts, numerous other officers, and statewide policy changes. And I'm the Environment and Climate Justice Committee Chair for the NAACP. I truly give a shit, but I can't do anything when I've got this worthless congressman leading anything that looks like progress. So I decide, thanks to the wind beneath my wings known as Bernie Sanders, that I'm going to get in here and try to do something worthwhile. Well, next thing you know, I am at the very first of my ever in my lifetime Democratic function, and I'm sitting there at this table and glad handing other Dems. I got the suit on and the button on, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Rick Shepard. I'm running for Congress." I give them the spiel, and this lovely lady next to me says, "You should go over and talk to that gentleman. That is Skip Daly. He's an assemblyman. He's one of the bigwigs in the unions, and you should go talk to him." So, ever the naive and clear-eyed individual, I saunter my way across the Democratic function to this table full of superdelegates. And I stand up and I put my hand in his, I'm like, "Hi, I'm Rick Shepard. I'm running for Congress." And without releasing my hand, he tells me, "We're endorsing Chip Evans." Now, 2 months before filing for this race, 6 months before anyone casts a ballot, and the superdelegate is informing me that I don't get to participate in the democratic process because there will not be one. I spent several more times reaching out to this same individual and was rebuffed each and every time. He carried through on his promise exactly as intended. And I'm sure that came down from Reid and thereon. This is not a particularly special or unique event. I'm sure this happens every single cycle. So I started out being abruptly made aware of just how corrupt and bought and rigged this whole thing was. But I'm going to give it an honest effort. I came within ranked choice voting error of winning my first effort outright against an establishment.
In 2016.
And I decided to give it a second effort. I'm sorry?
In 2016.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I ran again in 2018, and I did a few things. I changed my methodologies, and I made some mistakes. But most importantly, I was sitting on the sofa across from my wife while she was going through chemo through most of my primary. I was distracted. So smash cut to 2020, and I'm like, let's do this. It's another general election, not a midterm. I've learned from some of my mistakes, and I still need healthcare, right? So I'm in it for this third time, And now you got the COVID and the lockdown, and everything got weird. And it was really particularly strange because I did a lot of phone banking. Like in the last 6 weeks, I personally have picked up my phone and called and texted more than 13,000 human beings. The results I've gotten from that over that period of time have gone from I will vote for you, Rick Shepard, to I have already voted for you, Rick Shepard, to I lost by a lot, and I don't know where all those votes went. So I don't know where it went wrong or what happened, but suffice to say that I knew that the fix was in 16. Despite that, I tried again, having seen them, go to court and say under oath that they promise to betray us, and knowing full well that they're going to use that as precedent the next time we try to rise up. And then I have these wonderful, lovely human beings that I get to know through the Democratic Party at the local level, and they are gathering, using their own time, their own resources to work on bylaws and policies and all these other things. I mean, poring over commas and question marks to just the nth degree to finally shove it up to state, to only have it be vaporized, so that then finally some whiff of a nothing makes it up to actual policy. And we know that the second that becomes an impediment, it gets ignored. And like Jimmy Dore has said, I too am a child of an abusive alcoholic. I know what this looks like. That believing that you can keep doing this same thing because it's good work that you're doing, even though it's going to be for someone who's going to disrespect it and destroy it. There's no winning this, but yet you keep doing it. And God, it feels familiar. And this whole time, I reached out to Nick Brana, thinking this is a perfect opportunity for a guy like me to spread my wings and maybe go do something in a different location. And I've reached out to Brana multiple times, even with Ron Falcone making an introduction, and he's never responded. I reached out to the website directly and received a personal email that clearly rebuked me. And but yet I'm still on their mailing list for regular donations, so I know they know how to reach out to me. I'd really love to see that change. I genuinely believe I'm the kind of person that this is what that effort is behind. But I believe that because I ran as a Democrat and I gave them the benefit of the doubt and ran again, that I'm still seen as being party loyalist, I think. And frankly, I'm at the point ultimately where it's fuck the DNC, fuck the police, and eat the rich.
Well, yeah, I share that as well, and I think a lot of people are finally sharing that, because, I mean, this is why these Black Lives Matter protests have so many more white people and Asian and involved in them, is everybody's getting screwed over by the system now. Everybody's getting screwed over by the government. Everybody's not, being told they can't work and barely got a $1,200 check and that's it. And everyone's like, man, I need healthcare and I need all these other things. And there's cops just killing unarmed Black people. And, billionaires have made over $400 billion in the last 2.5 months. They've been profiting at record numbers during this pandemic, while all of us are barely getting by. I just got my unemployment June 5th. I applied for it the end of March. So yeah, I think we're all there. And I think people are realizing the electoral politics. People were like, well, we got to vote for Joe Biden. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm at the place now where I'm like, yeah, I hope Joe Biden wins, just so we can all, first of all, if he wins, they can't blame us anymore, us progressives, because they blamed us for Trump and they blamed us for Jill Stein and Russia and all this other bullshit. Now I'm like, you know what? I want Biden to win. Take your fucking rapist with dementia and watch him do nothing. He has said, I am not going to defund the police. He said we're going to shoot him.
He swore to veto the Medicare for all.
Yeah. He's going to ruin everything, and we can sit there, finally us true anti-war democratic socialist progressives can go, okay, there you go, neoliberals. And we can show neoliberals throughout time. This is in Chris Hedges' book, Death of the Liberal Class. They're the ones that have always actually blocked real progressive, democratic, socialist, populist policy. It's always them. It's not the right. The right is always a handful of people. It's the liberal class, the liberals, the neoliberals, whatever you want to call them, they always are the ones that get in the way of real populist platforms. So I'm sorry you went through that, and but I don't know. I hope. I mean, there's a lot about Movement for the People's Party that I really like, but I had to ask the question, like when Nick Brandon was on Jimmy's show last month and talking about what he discovered in 2016 with the Democrats, and it's kind of like everyone was asking, well, why didn't you say something sooner? So I don't know. That's maybe another conversation for another day. But like, so what are you going to now? What do you want to? What's where are you at now? I mean, you seem fired up. You seem emotional by this, as well you should be. What do you think you want to do? What anyone else should do?
Well, I'm clearly a three-time loser on this one, so I don't know that I'd be giving guidance on what to do, but perhaps I'm sure a symbol of what not to do in certain cases.
Well, I'm going to stop you right there real quick. I don't think you should refer to yourself as a three-time loser. I think you should refer to yourself as a guy that tried 3 times and was crushed by the system. You're not a loser. The system is broken. Well, it's rigged. It's rigged for the 1%.
I appreciate that. That's a more positive and affirming way to look at things. For right now, I'm still looking forward to being somehow involved in moving the conversation on the upcoming elections. I still look at 40 million Americans without health care, and I see that as a problem when we've got a candidate that swears he'll veto it. I need to make him aware that that's not acceptable. I can't do anything more than just be one person, lead by example. And if I'm out there every day saying the right stuff like you, then doing the right, fighting for the right things, then hopefully more people will line up and do it too. I'm out there before the COVID shutdown. We used to be every Tuesday for an hour in front of the federal building for what was known as Resist Trump Tuesday. And so once a week, I was gathering to protest outside of a building as part of my regular schedule. And I had a few of those, plus the usual going to whatever spontaneously popped up. And after better part of 5 years of doing this, it's almost nice to be on shutdown because I can sort of change my approach a little. I think that through social media, we can do a lot more than we could do with some in-person protesting. We can be more effective, especially like in Congressional District 2, it's huge. It's half the state of Nevada and it's very sparse. So getting from one place to another can be hours behind the wheel, but it's seconds behind the keyboard. And so those are avenues that we can be productive, continue to expand our reach electronically. I'm trying to stay positive, but at the same time, I live with 2 immunocompromised people, so I couldn't go out to protest if I wanted to, but I definitely do want to. It's rewarding. When you get out there and you're actually in the crowd, you feel like, all right, it's not just me. There's a handful of us at least that truly give a shit, and it's rewarding. It's fuel.
Do you think there's any potential at all to change or reform the Democratic Party from within?
Absolutely not. The only way this is going to be changed is through legislation. It has to be illegal with some serious criminal penalties to do what they did. They've already established by court precedent that they get to do it. And the next time they choose to screw us, they'll simply point to precedent and get away with it. There is zero chance that will change. And unless you're going to come in with Bloomberg-style dollars and a moral compass, it's not going to happen.
Right. Well, to have Bloomberg-style dollars, you can't have a moral compass. So that's not possible. That is literally against the laws of physics to have a moral compass and $1 billion. It is not possible. It's like, yeah. What does it matter?
J.K. Rowling proved that, didn't she? Isn't that J.K. Rowling? Yeah, they gave away enough money that she's no longer a billionaire.
Yeah. That's what you have to do. Give all that money away, and then you have a moral compass. You cannot have a moral compass and have that amount of money. It's not possible. There's no good billionaires. Oh, Mark Cuban was at the rally. Boo! He's just trying to get people to like him so that he doesn't get lynched. So billionaires are outlawed. They need to be outlawed. They're criminals. You cannot be a billionaire unless you have committed acts of criminality. And everything I did was legal. Yeah, you bought lawyers and politicians and think tanks to write the policy that benefits you, and you've exploited labor here and all over the world. So there's nothing you did that's ethical. So you're out. You're a criminal entity by being a billionaire.
You show me a billionaire who pays his employees at least $25 an hour.
Yeah, show me that. Show me that. Show me $25 an hour and health and retirement benefits. Show me that. Show me the billionaire that pays that wage. I'd like to find that. I'd like to see that. Yeah. Show me the billionaire that lives in like a 2-bedroom condo and puts the rest of their money towards homelessness and the environment and everything like that. Show me that. There is no such thing. Yeah. Yep. Show me a billionaire that flies coach. Show me that. Show me that. Show me a billionaire with 1 car.
As opposed to like Betsy DeVos, who has 10 yachts. Hey, imagine being so loaded that among your staff is an employee known as yacht scheduler. You've got so many yachts, you got to outsource that shit.
Yeah. But I mean, to be fair, though, in all honesty, it is embarrassing to have the same yacht in the Caribbean that you have in the south of France. You know what I mean? Like that, like, let's not be too hard on her. I mean, imagine the embarrassment if you showed up with the same yacht. I mean, Rick, come on. That's an embarrassment. Like if I took the same yacht to the Bahamas that I took to Tahiti, I mean, oh my God, I couldn't live with myself. I would feel like a filthy animal, you know, riding around the planet.
As well you should. It's like wearing the same dress to two different parties.
Oh my God, it's like not changing your underwear or something. I don't know what it's like. It's like horrifying. So let's not be too hard on Betsy DeVos, because the Secretary of Education should absolutely have 10 yachts. And that's not a corrupt system at all. What's it going to take, since the Democratic Party is like unfixable from within? But I mean, at least they took a knee. They took an 8-minute and 45-second platitude knee. That was really great.
That was really nice, coming off the heels of standing in front of $25,000 worth of refrigerators and doling out premium ice cream while we got to beg for a month of minimum wage. Yeah. That warmed my heart. Yeah, I felt like I was part of a resistance.
Yeah. And wearing that like African scarf, boy, that's not just the tone deaf of white liberals who like, anyway. So what actions? Obviously protesting, and what's been happening the last 2 weeks is powerful, but how do we go from protesting to action? How do we go from getting like sound change? Now you're seeing some really positive things happen, like the Minneapolis City Council is like, just my understanding is they just voted to say we're ending the police. We're hearing good plans come up. I've heard of like Camden, New Jersey, I guess, got rid of their police department 7 years ago. And we're starting to hear like what defund the police actually means. It doesn't just mean no more money for cops and everybody just, we're all walking around on the honor system, but it's coming up with real substantive things. So what things, as somebody who's been an activist and an organizer for a long time, how do we go from the energy of literally all 50 states, tens of millions of people in the streets, how do we get that to then effectively change the systematic racist and militarize of the police, which is, there's all these other things connected to it, economics, all this other stuff. What do you see?
It's always comes back to who do you elect? You know, who's going to pass those bills? Who's going to push for the right legislation? Mm-hmm. You know, I haven't seen universal basic income come up. I haven't seen Medicare for all come up. You want to address this pandemic. You want to get in front of the suffering. You want to get people off the street and deal with the rioting and the looting, which is separate from protesting, very much separate from protesting. Then deal with the suffering. We're talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs here: food, clothing, shelter, healthcare. You get people so they're not miserable. They're going to be a hell of a lot less likely to act out and do the horrible things in the first place. As far as the police department, yeah, defunding them doesn't mean taking away all the cops. We can certainly add resources to specialized care like mental health and drug addiction. And I'm of the opinion that beat cops don't need to wear a sidearm. I don't see any reason why your normal beat cop needs to carry deadly on his hip. You can have the Mossberg in the car. You can have the AK in the trunk. You can be a click of that mic away from Ride of the Valkyries, but just not a gun on your hip. And I believe, as much as as much as Floyd wasn't killed by that gun, if that guy hadn't had a gun, I think those people that were saying what they said might have been a little bit more likely to do something.
Right. Right. Because they didn't want to get shot. If they would have rolled up on Chauvin, he would have opened fire on him, and his partners would have backed. They would have all stood shoulder to shoulder and just unloaded their clips into an audience. I mean,
and it bothers me that I'm thinking that a proper response is that we, the people, need to be prepared to act out physically against those who allegedly swore an oath to protect and serve. That's literally what I'm calling for, is preparedness to be independent of what's supposed to be the defining factor of a society where we, the people, as a governing body, have a monopoly on violence.
Right.
And we're in a position now where we have to say, no, you have violated that social contract. You no longer get to assume that, and now we get to be independent arbiters. And this is an awful position to be in.
Yeah. No, you watch videos of, like, from the last week or so of the protest that got, like, of cops. I saw a female cop in San Francisco with her knee on the neck of a guy, and my thought, I was just watching the video, I was like, I wish I was there so I could have, like, jumped in. Like, I would have kicked her, and I would have gotten knocked around. I would have been arrested. Maybe I'd be in the hospital with a big thing on my head. I don't know. But I'm like, I'm not going to let you kill somebody again. I'm not going to watch that happen. And that's what we're all like, that's what we're thinking. I, with no criminal record, with no fighting anybody, like, you know, is thinking, well, I might have to, you know, tackle and punch a cop to stop them from murdering somebody. Like, that's how I'm thinking.
And at that point, you're just thinking about it as a human being. It's like, if you saw a plumber who was trying to kill somebody,
yes,
you would intervene. So this person's employment status is irrelevant.
Yeah. I mean, I remember one time I was in Adelaide, Australia, my first time ever performing there. And I'd just flown across the world and got there and did a show, and the comics took me out. And there was these two homeless guys, and one homeless guy was just beating the shit out of another guy. And I was like, hey, enough. And it was like me and 4 or 5 comics, and I was like, dude, it's done. And he's like, this guy stole money, and he had, you know, he looked crazy in his eyes. Like, I don't know, he was on something. Maybe he was mental, you know, had mental illness. I don't know what, but I was like, dude, enough. I'm not gonna watch you beat this guy to death. And he's like, hey, stole money. I go, I know, you made your point, let it go. And I was prepared to physically stop this guy, because I'm not gonna watch one human being beat the fucking knock some guy's head into the cement. And the other homeless guy finally ran away. And look, both guys might have died in the street a week or 2 later, but I'm not letting that happen in front of me. And that's what I did. And if I saw, if one of those guys had a badge and a gun, I wouldn't have let it, I would be like, no. But I would be afraid of getting shot. And the guy just calling it in, and then I'm arrested, and you know, and they just write whatever reports they want, and I'd be like, So, all right, Rick. So where are some online resources people can go, do you think?
To do what?
To get involved with any of this, to get involved with any of the stuff you're talking about. I know there's like a million things it feels like sometimes a mountain of problems to deal with, but like, what are some online resources you would tell people to go to? Somebody who's just like, what do? I want to get involved. This ain't right. How do we do this?
I think as an individual, you have to ask yourself, how do you wish to participate? And if all you have is some cash to donate, then find a cause or find a candidate, or, you know, that's easy enough to do. Time, that's hard to do. I mean, we're not supposed to be out doing much. And you know, I'm not going to encourage people to go out and protest under these circumstances. I understand why, and I am totally down with it. But yeah, risks are risks, and I can't push that just because I'm one of those people who would potentially bring it home to compromised people. And if I can't do it, I'm not going to be a hypocrite and tell others to do it. If you can and you want to do that, I'm in a position I cannot. Although I did, and I want to do it again. Enough. If you have a talent, as a candidate, I loved that I had people who volunteered to help out with technical stuff or artistic stuff. If you have a talent, commit that talent to something. You know, I am certain that there's artwork to be done, or a web host to be updated for everything under the sun that's important to you. You know, there's a project out there that I'm sure would love to have some volunteer who's willing to log in a few hours a month to help out in something that otherwise might be beyond their skill set. I've got a fair bit of web security that has been put on my website by someone who recognized weaknesses in my own securities, even though I own an IT company, but I don't do web presence stuff. So they were able to plug that hole. So it was nice to bring your skill sets to it. It's not always wallets, and we can't do signs and protests as much as we used to. But it does seem that when we bring our skill sets together towards a common good, we can build something important. One of the caucuses that one of the things that endorsed me was the UBI caucus. And there was a handful of guys on Twitter who, one guy registered a couple of domain names, another one puts up some web space, someone else starts doing some back end. And next thing you know, it's a fully fleshed out kind of thing. And you can do that. You don't need to team up with a huge bureaucracy or lend your name to a specific thing. If you've got an idea, odds are you can find a couple of friends to bang it out in this world and be on it. Well, we did it in like a week. It was pretty easy. So yeah, there's so much you could do.
Okay. No, it's good. It's important. I've said that on this show. Like, I get the people, if you're immune compromised or your situation, you're living with people, and going out to a protest in the middle of a pandemic is not what you can do. There's a lot of other ways to get involved. There's calling your local lawmakers. I mean, things are starting to move because people are just they've had it, and we got to put constant pressure on. Constant pressure. And that's what we need to do, like getting your local city council to get involved and all that stuff. So it's something we all need to do. All right, Rick. Well, thank you for taking your time to talk to us about your campaign. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, everybody. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/GrahamElwood or rockfin.com/GrahamElwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.